Chapter number 1 for audit. Auditing standards, statements and guidance note. Starting with question number 1, ABC company files a lawsuit against Unlucky company for 5 crore rupees. The attorney of Unlucky company feels that the suit is without merit. So Unlucky company merely discloses the existence of the lawsuit in the notes accompanying its financial statements. As an auditor of Unlucky company, how will you deal with the situation? Existence of contingent liability. As per AS 29, provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets. A contingent liability is a possible obligation that arises from past events and existence of which will be confirmed only by the occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more uncertain future events not wholly within the control of the enterprise. Further, future events that may affect the amount required to settle an obligation should be reflected in the amount of a provision where there is sufficient objective evidence that the event will occur. As per SA 570 going concern, there are certain examples of events or conditions that individually or collectively may cast significant doubt about the going concern assumption. Pending legal or regulatory proceedings against the entity that may, if successful, result in claims that the entity is unlikely to be able to satisfy is one of the example of such event. When the auditor concludes that the use of the going concern assumption is appropriate in the circumstances but a material uncertainty exists, the auditor shall determine whether the financial statements adequately describe the principal events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern and management's plans to deal with these events or conditions and disclose clearly that there is a material uncertainty related to events or conditions that may cast material uncertain doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern and therefore that it may be unable to realize its assets and discharge its liabilities in the normal course of business. In the instant case, क्वेश्चन में बोला था कि that this lawsuit is without merit. Therefore, in the instant case, ABC Limited has filed a lawsuit against Unlucky Company for 5 crore. Though the attorney of Unlucky Company feels that the suit is without merit, so the company merely discloses the existence of lawsuit in the notes accompanying its financial statement, but the auditor may evaluate the source data on which basis the opinion is formed. But the auditor may evaluate the source data on which basis the opinion is formed. If the auditor finds the uncertainty, he may request the management to adjust the sum of rupees 5 crore by making provision for expense as per AS 29. If the management does not accept the request, the auditor should qualify the audit report. Second question. In the course of audit of K Limited, its auditor Mr. N observed that there was a special audit conducted at the instance of the management on a possible suspicion of a fraud and requested for a copy of the report to enable him to report on the fraud aspects. Despite many reminders, it was not provided. In absence of the special audit report, Mr. N insisted that he be provided with at least a written representation in respect of fraud on or by the company. For this request also, the management remained silent. Please guide Mr. N. Auditor's responsibility relating to fraud in an audit of financial statements. SA 240. The auditor is responsible for obtaining reasonable assurance that the financial statement taken as a whole are free from material misstatement whether caused by fraud or error. Written representation SA 580. If the management modifies or does not provide the requested written representations, it may alert the auditor to the possibility that one or more significant issues may exist. In the instant case, the auditor observed that there was a special audit conducted at the instance of the management on a possible suspicion of fraud. Therefore, the auditor requested for a special audit report, which was not provided by the management despite of many reminders. The auditor also insisted for written representation in respect of fraud on or by the company. For this request also management remained silent. It may be noted that if the management does not provide one or more of the requested written representations, the auditor shall discuss the matter with management, reevaluate the representations, oral or written, and audit evidence in general, and take appropriate actions including determining the possible effects on the opinion in the auditor's report. Further, as per section 143 subsection 12 of the Companies Act 2013, if an auditor of a company in the course of the performance of his duties as an auditor has reason to believe that an offence involving fraud is being or has been committed against the company by officers or employees of the company, he shall immediately report the matter to the central government in case amount of fraud is rupees 1 crore or above. Audit committee or board in other case, in cases the amount fraud involved less than rupees 1 crore within such time and in such manner as may be prescribed. If the fraud is more than 1 crore, immediately report to central government, and if the fraud is for less than 1 crore rupees, report it to those charged with governance or audit committee. The auditor is also required to report as per clause 11 of para 3 of CARO 2016. For May 2021 we have to quote CARO 2016, not CARO 2020. Even if this updated book answer contains 2020, we have to quote CARO 2016 everywhere. Whether any fraud by the company or any fraud on the company by its officers or employees has been noticed or reported during the year. If yes, the nature and the amount involved is to be indicated. If as a result of a misstatement resulting from fraud or suspected fraud, the auditor encounters exceptional circumstances that bring into question the auditor's ability to continue performing the audit, the auditor shall determine professional and legal responsibilities applicable in the circumstances, including whether there is a requirement for the auditor to report to the person or persons who made the audit appointment, or in some cases to regulatory authorities. Consider whether it is appropriate to withdraw from the engagement where withdrawal from the engagement is legally permitted. If the auditor withdraws, discuss with the appropriate level of management and those charged with governance the auditor's withdrawal from the engagement and the reason for the withdrawal, and determine whether there is a professional or legal requirement to report to the person or persons who made the audit appointment, or in some cases to the regulatory authorities, the auditor's withdrawal from the engagement and the reason for the withdrawal. Question number 3. During the course of audit of Star Limited, the auditor received some of the confirmation of the balances of trade payables outstanding in the balance sheet through external confirmation by a negative confirmation request. In the list of trade payables, there are number of trade payables of small balances except one old outstanding balance of 15 lakh rupees, of whom no confirmation on the credit balance received. Comment with respect to standard on auditing. External confirmation. As per SA 505, external confirmation, negative confirmation is a request that the confirming party respond directly to the auditor only if the confirming party disagree. Only if the confirming party disagree with the information provided in the request. Negative confirmations provide less persuasive audit evidence than positive confirmations. The failure to receive a response to a negative confirmation request does not explicitly indicate receipt by the intended confirming party of the confirmation request or verification of the accuracy of the information contained in the request. Does not explicitly indicate a receipt by the intended confirming party or verification of the accuracy of the information contained in the request. Accordingly, a failure of a confirming party to respond to a negative confirmation request provides significantly less persuasive audit evidence than does a response to a positive confirmation request. Confirming parties also may be more likely to respond, indicating their disagreement with the confirmation request when the information in the request is not in their favor, and less likely to respond otherwise. In the instant case, the auditor sent the negative confirmation requesting the trade payables having outstanding balances in the balance sheet. While doing audit of Star Limited, one of the old outstanding of rupees 15 crore has not sent the confirmation on the credit balance. In case of non-response, the auditor may examine subsequent cash disbursements or correspondence from third party and other records such as goods received notes. Further, non-response for negative confirmation request does not mean that there is some misstatement, as a negative confirmation request itself is to respond to the auditor only if the confirming party disagrees with the information provided in the request. But if the auditor identifies factors that give rise to doubts about the reliability of the response to the confirmation request, he shall obtain further audit evidence to resolve those doubts. Question number 4. Mr. Z, who is appointed as auditor of Elite Company Limited, wants to use confirmation request as audit evidence during the course of audit. What are the factors to be considered by Mr. Z when designing a confirmation request? Also state the effects of using positive external confirmation request by Mr. Z. Answer. As per SA 505 external confirmations, factors to be considered when designing confirmation request include the assertions being addressed, specific identified risk of material misstatement. These are the factors, and this is a mnemonic: ASLMP PCAA. Positive audit evidence. The assertions being addressed, what are the factors? These are the factors. The assertions being addressed, specific identified risk of material misstatement including fraud risk, the layout and presentation of the confirmation request, prior experience on the audit or similar engagements, the method of communication, management authorization or encouragement to the confirming parties to respond the auditor. Confirming parties may only be willing to respond to a confirmation request containing management's authorization. The ability of the intended confirming party to confirm or provide the requested information, for example, individual invoice amount versus total balance. A positive external confirmation request asks the confirming party to reply to the auditor in all cases either by indicating the confirming party's agreement with the given information or by asking the confirming party to provide information. A response to a positive confirmation request ordinarily is expected to provide a reliable audit evidence. There is a risk, however, that a confirming party may reply to the confirmation request without verifying the information is correct. The auditor may reduce the risk by using positive confirmation requests that do not state the amount or other information on the confirmation request and ask the confirming party to fill the amount or furnish other information. On the other hand, use of this type of blank confirmation request may result in lower response rates because additional effort is required on the confirming parties. Question number 5. R&M company wants to be alert on the possibility of non-compliance with laws and regulations during the course of audit of SRS Limited. R&M company seeks your guidance for identifying the indications of non-compliance with laws and regulations. Answer 5. As per SA 250, consideration of laws and regulations, the auditor shall perform the audit procedures to help identify instances of non-compliance with other laws and regulations that may have a material effect on the financial statements by inquiring of management and where appropriate those charged with governance as to whether the entity is in compliance with such laws and regulations and inspecting correspondence, if any, with the relevant licensing or regulatory authorities. However, when the auditor becomes aware of the existence of or information about the following matters, it may also be indication of non-compliance with laws and regulations. Investigations by regulatory organizations and government departments or payment of fines or penalties, payment for unspecified services or loans to consultant related parties, employees or government employees, sales commission or agent's fees that appear excessive in relation to those ordinarily paid by the entity or in its industry or to the services actually received. Purchasing at prices significantly above or below the market price, unusual payments in cash, purchase in the form of cashier's check payable to bearer or transfers to numbered bank accounts, unusual payments towards legal and retainership fees, unusual transactions with companies registered in tax havens, payment for goods or services made other than to the country from which the goods or services originated, payment without proper exchange control documentation, existence of an information system which fails whether by design or by accident to provide an adequate audit trail or sufficient evidence, unauthorized transaction and adverse media comment. Question number 6. KRP Limited at its annual general meeting appointed Mr. X, Y and Z as joint auditors to conduct auditing for the financial year 18-19 for the valuation of gratuity scheme of the company. Mr. X, Y and Z wanted to refer to their own actuaries due to difference of opinion. All the joint auditors consulted their respective actuaries. Subsequently, major differences was found in the actuary reports. However, Mr. X agreed to Mr. Y's actuary report, though Mr. Z did not. Mr. X contends that Mr. Y's actuary report shall be considered an audit report due to majority of votes. Now Mr. Z is in dilemma. Part 1 of question is, you are required to briefly explain the responsibilities of auditor. Responsibilities of auditor बताना है. When they are jointly and severally responsible in respect of audit conducted by them, and also guide Mr. Z in such situation. And in part B, explain the responsibility of auditors in case Mr. Y's actuary report made by Mr. Y's actuary later on found faulty. So answer number 6. Difference of opinion among joint auditors. Essay 299 on joint audit of financial statement deals with the professional responsibilities which the auditor undertake in accepting such appointment as joint auditors. In respect of the work divided amongst the joint auditors, each joint auditor is responsible only for the work allotted to him, whether or not he has made a separate report on the work performed by him. On the other hand, the joint auditors are jointly and severally responsible in respect of the audit conducted by them as under, in respect of the audit work which is not divided among the joint auditors and is carried out by all of them. Second, in respect of decisions taken by all the joint auditors under audit planning in respect of common audit areas concerning the nature, timing and extent of the audit procedures to be performed by each of the joint auditors. In respect of matters which are brought to the notice of the joint auditors by any one of them and on which there is an agreement among the joint auditors. For examining the financial statements of the entity, comply with the requirements of the relevant statute. For ensuring presentation and disclosure of the financial statements as required by the applicable financial reporting framework. For ensuring that the audit report complies with the requirements of the relevant statutes, applicable standards on auditing and other relevant pronouncements issued by ICAI. Sixth point, it is the separate and specific responsibility of each joint auditor to study and evaluate the prevailing system of internal control relating to the work allocated to him, extent of inquiries to be made in the course of his audit. The responsibility of obtaining and evaluating information and explanation from the management is generally a joint responsibility of all the auditors. Each joint auditor is entitled to assure that the other joint auditors have carried out their part of the work in accordance with the generally accepted audit procedures, and therefore it would be necessary for joint auditors to review the work performed by other joint auditors. Where in the course of audit, a joint auditor comes across matters which are relevant to the areas of responsibility of other joint auditors and which deserve their attention, or which require disclosure or require discussion with or application of judgment or by other joint auditors, the said joint auditor shall communicate the same to all other joint auditors in writing prior to the completion of the audit. Normally, the joint auditors are required to issue common audit report. However, where the joint auditors are in disagreement with regard to the opinion or any matter to be covered by the audit report, they shall express their opinion in a separate audit report. A joint auditor is not bound by the views of the majority of the joint auditors. A joint auditor is not bound by the views of the majority of the joint auditors regarding the opinion on matters to be covered in the audit report and shall express opinion. The opinions or matters to be covered in the report and shall express opinion formed by the said joint auditor in separate audit report in case of disagreement in such circumstances. The audit report issued by the joint auditor shall make a reference to the separate audit report issued by other joint auditors. Further, separate audit report shall also make reference to the audit report issued by the other joint auditors. Such reference shall be made under the heading Other Matter paragraph as per SA 706, emphasis of matter paragraph and other matter paragraph. In the instant case, there are three auditors X, Y, Z jointly appointed as an auditors of KRP Limited for the valuation of gratuity scheme of the company. They referred to their own actuaries. Mr. Z is not satisfied with the report submitted by Mr. Y's referred actuary. He is not agreed with the matter to be covered by the report, whereas Mr. X agreed with the same. Hence, as per SA 299 joint auditors, Mr. Z is suggested to express his own opinion through a separate report, whereas X and Y may provide their joint report for the same. For the B part of question, explain the responsibility of auditors in case the report is made by Y's actuary later on found faulty. Using the work of auditor's expert, SA 620, using the work of an auditor's expert, the expertise of an expert may be required in the actuarial calculation of liabilities associated with the insurance contracts or employee benefit plans. However, the auditor has sole responsibility for the audit opinion expressed, and the responsibility is not reduced by the auditor's use of the work of an auditor's expert. The auditor shall evaluate the adequacy of the auditor's expert's work for the auditor's purpose, including relevance and reasonableness of that expert's findings or conclusions and their consistency with other audit evidence as per SA 500. Further, in view of SA 620, if the expert's work involves use of significant assumptions and methods, then the relevance and reasonableness of those assumptions and methods must be ensured by the auditor. And if the expert's work involves the use of source data that is significant to the expert's work, the relevance, completeness, and accuracy of that source data in the circumstances must be verified by the auditor. The source data must be verified by the auditor. In the instant case, XYZ jointly appointed as auditor of KRP referred their own actuaries for valuation of gratuity scheme. Actuaries are an auditor's expert as per SA 620. Mr. Y's referred actuary has provided the gratuity valuation report, which later on found faulty. Further, Mr. Z is not agreed with this report, therefore he submitted a separate audit report specifically for such gratuity valuation. In such situation, it was duty of Mr. X, Y and Z, before using the gratuity valuation report of actuary, to ensure the relevance and reasonableness of the assumptions and methods used. To ensure the relevance and reasonableness of the assumptions and methods used, they were also required to examine the relevance, completeness and accuracy of source data. Relevance, completeness and accuracy of source data used for such report before expressing their opinion. Mr. X and Mr. Y will be held responsible for grossly negligence and using such faulty report without examining the adequacy of experts' actuary work, whereas Mr. Z will not be held liable for the same due to separate opinion expressed by him. Question number 7. As an auditor of RST Limited, Mr. P applied the concept of materiality for the financial statements as a whole. On the basis of obtaining additional information of significant contractual arrangements that draw attention to a particular aspect of a company's business, he wants to reevaluate the materiality concept. Please guide him. Answer number 7. Re-evaluation of materiality concept. In the instant case, Mr. P, as an auditor of RST Limited, has applied the concept of materiality for the financial statements as a whole. But he wants to re-evaluate the materiality concept on the basis of additional information of significant contractual arrangements which draws attention to a particular aspect of the company's business. As per SA 320, materiality in planning and performing an audit. While establishing the overall audit strategy, the auditor shall determine materiality for the financial statement as a whole. He should set the benchmark on the basis of which he performs his audit procedures. If in the specific circumstances of the entity, there is one or more particular classes of transactions, account balances, or disclosures for which misstatements or lesser amounts than the materiality for the financial statement as a whole could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of the financial statements. The auditor shall also determine the materiality level or levels to be applied to those particular classes of transactions, account balances, or disclosures. The auditor shall revise materiality for the financial statements in the event of becoming aware of information during the audit that would have caused the auditor to have determined a different amount initially. If the auditor concludes a lower materiality for the same, then he should consider the fact that whether it is necessary to revise performance materiality and whether the nature, timing, and extent of the further audit procedures remain appropriate. Thus, Mr. P can reevaluate the materiality concepts after considering the necessity of such a revision. Question number 8. When a sub-service organization performs services for a service organization, there are two alternative methods of presenting the description of controls. The service organization determines which method will be used. As a user auditor, what information would you obtain about controls at a sub-service organization? Controls at a sub-service organization. In accordance with SA 402, audit considerations relating to an entity using a sub-service or using a service organization, a user entity may use a service organization that in turn uses a sub-service organization to provide some of the services provided to a user entity that are part of the user entity's information system relevant to financial reporting. The sub-service organization may be a separate entity from the service organization or may be related to the service organization. A user auditor may be needed to consider control at the sub-service organization in situations where one or more of sub-service organizations are used. The interaction between the activities of the user entity and those of the service organization is expanded to include the interaction between the user entity, the service organization, and the sub-service organization. तीन लोग हो गए यहाँ पे. The degree of this interaction as well as the nature and materiality of the transactions processed by the service organization and the sub-service organization are the most important factors for the user auditor to consider in determining significance of the service organizations and sub-service organizations' control to the user entity's control. Further, the user auditor shall determine whether a sufficient understanding of the nature and significance of the services provided by the service organization and their effect on the user entity's internal control relevant to the audit has been obtained to provide a basis for the identification and assessment of risk of material misstatement. If the user auditor is unable to obtain sufficient understanding from the user entity, the user auditor shall obtain that understanding by application of the following two methods of presenting description of internal controls, that is type 1 report or type 2 report. If a service organization uses a sub-service organization, the service auditor's report may either include or exclude the subservice organization's relevant control objectives and related controls in the service organization's description of its system and in the scope of the service auditor's engagement. These two methods of reporting are known as the inclusive method and the carve out method respectively, type 1 report method, type 2 report method. In either method, the service organization includes in its description of controls a description of the functions and nature of the processing performed by the subservice organization. If the type 1 or type 2 report excludes the control at a subservice organization and the services provided by the subservice organization are relevant to the audit of the user entity's financial statements. The user auditor is required to apply the requirement of the SA 402 in respect of the subservice organization. The nature and extent of work to be performed by the user auditor regarding the services provided by a subservice organization depends on the nature and significance of those services to the user entity and relevance of those services to the audit. Question number 9. In an initial audit engagement, the auditor will have to satisfy about the sufficiency and appropriateness of opening balances to ensure that they are free from misstatements which may materially affect current financial statements. Lay down the audit procedure. Audit procedure बताना है. You will follow when financial statements are audited for the first time. If after performing the procedure you are not satisfied about the correctness of opening balances, what approach you would adopt in drafting your audit report? If after performing the procedure you are not satisfied about the correctness of opening balances. Answer number 9. Audit procedures for ensuring correctness of opening balances. As per SA 510, initial audit engagements opening balances, the auditor shall obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence about whether the operating balances contain misstatements that materially affect current period financial statements by determining whether the prior period closing balances have been correctly brought forward to the current period, or when appropriate, any adjustments have been disclosed as prior period items in the current year's statement of profit and loss. Determining whether the opening balances reflect the application of appropriate accounting policies. By evaluating whether audit procedures performed in the current period provide evidence relevant to the opening balances, or performing specific audit procedures to obtain evidence regarding the opening balances. If the auditor obtains audit evidence that the opening balances contain misstatements that could materially affect the current period financial statements, the auditor shall perform such additional audit procedures as are appropriate in the circumstances to determine the effect on the current period financial statements. If the auditor concludes that such misstatements exist in the current period financial statements, the auditor shall communicate the misstatements with the appropriate level of management and those charged with governance. Approach for drafting audit report. If the auditor concludes that the opening balances contain a misstatement that materially affects the current period's financial statements, and effect of the misstatement is not properly accounted for or not adequately presented or disclosed, the auditor shall express a qualified opinion. The auditor shall express a qualified opinion or an adverse opinion as appropriate in accordance with SA 705. In the case when the auditor is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the opening balances, the auditor shall express a qualified opinion or a disclaimer of opinion as appropriate in accordance with SA 705. Question number 10. Auditor of Sagar Limited was not able to get the confirmation about the existence and value of certain machineries. However, the management gave him a certificate to prove the existence of and value of the machinery as appearing in the books of accounts. The auditor accepted the same without any further procedure and signed the audit report. Is he right in his approach? Validity of written representation. The physical verification of the fixed assets is the primary responsibility of the management. The auditor, however, is required to examine the verification program adopted by the management. ऑडिटर का काम होता है कि आप एग्जामिन करो कि जो वेरिफिकेशन किया है मैनेजमेंट ने, जो वेरिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम अडॉप्ट किया है मैनेजमेंट में, वो करेक्ट है कि नहीं. ही मस्ट सेटिस्फाई हिमसेल्फ अबाउट द एग्जिस्टेंस, ओनरशिप and valuation of fixed assets. In the case of Sagar Limited, the auditor has not been able to verify the existence and value of some machinery despite the verification procedure followed in routine audit. He accepted the certificate given to him by the management without making any further inquiry. As per SA 580 written representations, when a representation relate to matters which are material to the financial information, then the auditor should seek corroborative audit evidence from other sources inside or outside the entity. He should evaluate whether such representations are reasonable and consistent with other evidence, and should consider whether individuals making such representations can be expected to be well informed on the matter. Written representations cannot be a substitute for other audit evidence that the auditor could reasonably expect to be available. If the auditor is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence that he believes would be available regarding a matter which has or may have a material effect on the financial information, this will constitute a limitation on scope of his examination even if he has obtained a representation from management on the matter. Therefore, the approach adopted by the auditor is not right. Is he right in his approach? अपने को सिर्फ यही बताना है, रीज़न नहीं देना कि क्यों गलत है वो. यहाँ पे therefore the approach adopted by the auditor is not right लिख के आंसर ख़त्म कर दिया. Question number 11. Your firm has been appointed as the statutory auditor of AGM Private Limited for the financial year 2018-19, while verification of company's trade receivable as on 31st March 2019. Accountant of AGM Private Limited has requested you not to send balance confirmation to a particular group of trade receivables since the said balance are under dispute and the matter is pending in the court. As a statutory auditor, how would you deal in this situation? SA 505 लगेगा इसमें. external confirmation establishes standards on the auditor's use of external confirmation as a means of obtaining audit evidence. If the management refuses to allow the auditor to send a confirmation request, the auditor shall inquire as to management response or reason for the refusal and seek audit evidence as to their validity and reasonableness. Evaluate the implications of management's refusal on the auditor's assessment of the relevant risk of material misstatement, including the risk of fraud, and on the nature, timing, and extent of other audit procedures, and perform alternative audit procedures designed to obtain relevant and reliable audit evidence. If the auditor concludes that the management refusal to allow the auditor to send a confirmation request is unreasonable, or the auditor is unable to obtain relevant and reliable audit evidence from alternative audit procedures, the auditor shall communicate with those in charge of governance and also determine its implications for the audit and his opinion. Question number 12. RIM Private Limited is engaged in the business of manufacturing of water bottle and is experiencing significant increase in turnover year on year. During the financial year ended 31st March 2019, company carried out a detailed physical verification of its inventory and property, plant and equipment. You are the auditor of RIM Private Limited. The inventory as at the end of year was 2.25 crore. Due to unavoidable circumstances, he could not be present at the time of annual physical verification. Under the above circumstances, how would you ensure that the physical verification conducted by the management was in order? SA 501 Audit Evidence Additional Consideration for Specific Items. The auditor should perform audit procedures designed to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence during his attendance at physical inventory counting. SA 501 is additional guidance to that contained in SA 500 audit evidence with respect to certain specific financial statement amounts and other disclosures. If the auditor is unable to be present at the physical inventory count on the date planned due to unforeseen circumstances, the auditor should take or observe some physical count on an alternative date and where necessary perform alternative audit procedures to assess whether the changes in inventory between the date of physical count and the period end date are correctly recorded. The auditor would also verify the procedure adopted, treatment given for the discrepancies noticed during the physical count. The auditor would also ensure that appropriate cutoff procedures were followed by the management. He should also get management's written representation on the completeness of information provided regarding the inventory, assurance with regard to adherence to laid down procedures for physical inventory count. By following the above procedures, it will be ensured that the physical verification conducted by the management was in order. First is completeness of information provided regarding the inventory and assurance with regard to adherence to laid down procedures for physical inventory count. Question number 13. Mr. L, while conducting the audit of ABC Limited, observed that a substantial amount is recognized in respect of obsolescence of inventory and warranty obligations in the financial statement. L wants to obtain written representation from the management to determine whether the assumptions and estimates used are reasonable. Guide Mr. L with reference to relevant standard on auditing. SA 540. Auditing accounting estimates including fair value accounting estimates and related disclosures. रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन तो सिर्फ एक टॉपिक हो गया है इसमें, ऐसे तो इसमें 540 लगेगा. द ऑडिटर शैल ऑब्टेन रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन फ्रॉम मैनेजमेंट एंड वेयर अप्रोप्रिएट दोज चार्ज विद गवर्नेंस वेदर दे बिलीव सिग्निफिकेंट अजम्पशंस यूज्ड इन मेकिंग अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट्स आर रीजनेबल. ऐसे 580 भी लगेगा. रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशंस डिस्कसेस द यूज ऑफ रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशंस. Depending on the nature, materiality and extent of estimation uncertainty, written representations about accounting estimates recognized or disclosed in the financial statements may include representations about the appropriateness of measurement processes, including related assumptions and models used by management in determining accounting estimates in the context of the applicable financial reporting framework and the consistency in application of the processes. That the assumptions appropriately reflect management's intent and ability to carry out specific courses of action on behalf of the entity where relevant to the accounting estimates and disclosures. That disclosure related to accounting estimates are complete and appropriate under the applicable financial reporting framework. Fourth, that no subsequent event requires adjustment to the accounting estimates and disclosures included in the financial statements. Number 14. LMP Associates Chartered Accountant conducting the audit of PQR Limited listed company year ended 31st March 2019 concerned with auditors' responsibilities relating to other information, both financial and non-financial, included in the company's annual report. While reading other information, LMP Associates considers whether there is a material inconsistency between other information and financial statements. As a basis for the consideration, the auditor shall evaluate their consistency compared selected amounts or other items in other information with such amounts or other items in the financial statements. Guide LMP Associates with example of amounts or other items that may be included in other information as relevant with reference to SA 720. Examples of amounts or other items that may be included in the other information. As per SA 720, the auditor's responsibility in relation to other information. The following are examples of amounts and other items that may be included in the other information. The list is not intended to be exhaustive. Amounts. Items in summary of key financial results such as net income, earning per share, dividend, sales and other operating revenues and purchases and operating expenses. Selected operating data such as income from continuing operations by major operating area or sales by geographical segment or product line. Special items such as asset dispositions, litigation provisions, asset impairment, tax adjustment, environmental remediation provisions and restructuring and reorganization expenses. Liquidity and capital resource information. Liquidity and capital resource information such as cash, cash equivalents and marketable securities, dividends and debts, capital lease and minority interest obligations, capital expenditure by segment or division, amount involved in and related financial effects of off-balance sheet arrangements, amount involved in guarantees, contractual obligations, legal or environmental claims, and other contingencies. Financial measures or ratios such as gross margin, return on average capital employed, return on average shareholders' equity, current ratio, interest coverage ratio, and debt ratio. Some of these may be directly reconcilable to the financial statements. Other items. Examples of other items, and these all are examples. Amounts के भी examples ही थे. Other items के examples: explanations of critical accounting estimate and related assumptions, identification of related parties and description of transactions with them, articulation of entities' policies or approach to manage commodity, foreign exchange, interest rate risk, such as through the use of forward contract, interest rate swap, or other financial instruments, description of the nature of off-balance sheet arrangements, description of guarantees, indemnification, contractual obligations, litigation or environmental liability cases, and other contingencies, including management's qualitative assessment of the entity's related exposure, descriptions of changes in legal or regulatory requirements such as new tax or environmental regulations that have materially impacted the entity's operations or fiscal position, or will have a material impact on the entity's future financial prospects. Management's qualitative assessment of the impact of new financial reporting standards that have come into effect during the period or will come into effect in the following period on the entity's financial results, financial position, and cash flows. General description of the business environment and outlook. Business environment and outlook. Overview of strategy. Description of trends in market prices of key commodities or raw materials. Contrast of supply, demand, regulatory circumstances between geographic regions. Explanations of specific factors influencing the entity's profitability in specific segments. Question number 15. MB and Associates is a partnership firm of chartered accountant which was established 7 years back. The firm is getting new clients and has also been offered new engagement serving with existing client. The firm is concerned about obtaining such information as it considers necessary in the circumstances before accepting an engagement with a new client and any acceptance of new engagement with an existing client. The firm is looking to work with only selected clients to adhere to quality control standards, guide MB Associates about matters to be considered with regard to integrity of a client as per requirement of SQC 1. Answer number 15. As per SQC 1, the firm should obtain such information as it considers necessary in the circumstances before accepting an engagement with a new client while deciding whether to continue an existing engagement and when considering acceptance of a new engagement with an existing client. Where issues have been identified and the firm decides to accept or continue with the client relationship or specific engagement, it should document how the issues were resolved. With regard to the integrity of a client, matters that the firm considers include, for example, the identity and business reputation of the client's principal owners, key management, related parties, and those charged with governance. With regard to the integrity of a client, matters that the firm considers include, for example, the identity and business reputation of the client's principal owners, key management, related party, those charged with governance. Identity and business reputation. Nature of client's operations, including its business practices, client's operations. Information concerning the attitude of client's principal owners, key management, and those charged with governance towards such matters as aggressive interpretation of accounting standards and internal control environment. Information. Whether the client is aggressively concerned with maintaining the firm's fees as low as possible. Indications of inappropriate limitation in the scope of work. Indication that the client might be involved in money laundering or other criminal activities. The reason for the proposed appointment of the firm and non reappointment of the previous firm. Reason क्या था? Identity and business reputation, clients' operations, accounting standards, internal control, firm's fees, inappropriate limitations, money laundering, criminal activities, and reasons for appointment and non reappointment. The extent of knowledge of a firm will have regarding the integrity of a client will generally grow within the context of an ongoing relationship with that client. 15 questions of chapter 1 done.